Well, hey, everybody, I'm Rob Hall. I'm the president of Trauma Free World. I am really excited today to talk to my friend, colleague, Azubike Kalu. Azu, to those who have the privilege of being a friend and a colleague. So, Azu, great to have you all the way from Nigeria. So thanks for joining me for this conversation.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
Awesome. So, Azu helps lead Back-to-Back Nigeria as the assistant site director. And today we're going to be talking about playfulness and play. And I know here in the States, when we're recording this right now, it seems like this might be the wrong time to talk about play and playfulness. A lot of serious things going on. COVID all around the world. Certainly racial unrest, looking for racial justice and equity here in the United States. Is happening right now. And so it might seem like an odd time to talk about play and playfulness, but quite honestly, Azu, I can't think of a better time, especially with anxiety and what's happening with kids as they watch what's happening, not only just adults, but watching with kids, the importance of play. But before I jump in, I want to ask you something about trauma training and trauma-free world. Tell me a little bit about kind of how you viewed kids with a trauma history, or how to help kids with a trauma history before your training with Trauma Free World as compared to after your training with Trauma Free World.
Before trauma competent care training, the whole idea was different. Working with vulnerable children or knowing vulnerable children, or say an orphanage setting, you go there and you expect them to get it, to understand. So the culture was drifted that way. Like, hey, you're supposed to be like this, you're supposed to be like, aren't you you're privileged, you're supposed to, so many things are being told to them. So after getting the knowledge of trauma care training, it was different. Relationship came in. So there was so much relationship, there's so much time, there's so much connection, there's so much engagement with the kids, other than giving them too many structure, without play, without relationship, without connection, without bonding. That was the difference, and it made a lot of change moving on after having that information.
Yeah, so before it was kind of, if I hear you right, was based on behavior and structure and rules, and once you went through the training, you began to realize it was really more effective, especially kids from trauma with a trauma background, to build relationship as compared to just expect behavior.
Right. Just like you were talking about the COVID situation, the kids also have a mind of their own, right?
Yes.
Their mind is being told so many things. They're seeing so many things, horrible things. People are dying. So it's kind of the mind of a traumatized child. So they have this explosive mind, things going on in their heads. But who is taking time to know that? Who is taking time to play with them, distract them a little bit from all of that chaos, and just play, or just sit right there with them.
Yeah, I love that. So we're not going to talk a lot today about the research behind playfulness and what it does in a child's brain in terms of connecting, synapses and frontal lobes and all of those kind of things. There's plenty of research about that, and I don't want to talk about that today. That might be another interview. But what I'd really love to learn from you is how to do this. Like, for men in particular, perhaps, and we'll talk about this a little bit, it may be more difficult to see the benefits of play, or even how to engage in it. Tell me a little bit about how you just engage with kids around you in play. Does it come naturally to you?
Yeah, I would start that way. First of all, it was natural for me. I was always like that. I've worked with kids before in different capacities, and that was one of my easy things to come in with them. But I started working with the children's home or with the kids. Play was one of my first connecting strategy. Play was natural for me, so we played a lot. We played every time, because that's what they weren't given too much opportunity to do. So I was playful, so I just jumped right into that, and it was a connection that just clicked. I didn't even know until after the TCC training, because before I would wonder why a 16-year-old would want to play like that. So I realized they don't have that brain development, as in they may be 16 but still have the brain development of a 10-year-old. So having to have them, engage in so much play like that was really mind blowing for me. So it just connected a lot of stuff. So to answer that, for me, first of all, is natural. So if you want to get into that place of being playful or using that as a strategy to connect with a child, you have to be interested in it. You have to know that the language of children is play. That is how they know how to get things in different ways done. So I was playing a lot with them, whether we're learning, we're playing. I was playing a lot with them, whatever it is that they're doing, they're playing soccer, I will roll up my pants and go play soccer with them, play basketball with them, play on the sand with the very little ones. So it built a lot of trust. So just being right there on that level with them built a lot of trust. And of course, is the connection that I think I have with them today.
Wow, so much just in that answer. One was, I really love that you pointed out quickly that it's about the developmental age of the child, not so much about their chronological age. And because of your understanding of trauma and what it does for a child, that someone's 16 and you may think I need to play like a 16-year-old, really developmentally might be 10 or 11, and that allows you to engage at a level that they are interested in, not what you expect they should be interested in.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
that it brought a lot of perspective. I didn't know that before. I would just want to play with the little ones, like maybe 10 or 12 years old. But the ones that are 16, 15, we still want to engage in that same kind of play.
yes.
So because of TCC, I understood. So I didn't push them away. I didn't say, hey, you're too old for this. Move away. So it's like I understood they missed that part of their life, that playful part of their life at that kind of age. So I didn't push them away. I didn't say, hey, go away, you're too old for this. So everybody joined in that play. Whatever it is, wherever it is, whenever it is, we just all played.
Yeah, and the other thing that I loved you said there, Azu, was that the role of play is connection, right? It's the language of children, but what you need to do is build connection with kids. Tell me a bit more about the role of play and how it allows you to connect with all kinds of kids.
First of all, like I said, it builds connection. So when you're at that level with them playing, they just feel trust. They have that trust with you. So the role that play comes in, the role that play comes into play this time is that trust. You're building trust. So when they have that trust with you, you have that connection. You have everything that you want to have with them. They're going to stop whatever they're doing. They're going to ask you anything. They're going to want to go there with you. They're going to want to be there with you because they have that trust with you. So if I want to say one thing that has been so beneficial in the connection that I enjoy with the kids today is play, because it has been beneficial in so many ways where I've seen them because of play, as in introducing play to learning, for instance. Now they are doing so many of them are doing so well in academics because play was introduced. A different method of learning was introduced. Some of them before, with TCC training, there's something we call the nurture groups. It's just basically a staff person tutoring or engaging the kids in some activities, group activities, to teach them how to connect, to teach them basic life values. So with that meeting, they don't used to talk. They don't talk. They don't say anything. You just have 30 minutes, 45 minutes that you're all there looking at you. It's over and you go. So I started introducing play, started dancing a lot, started joking around a lot. Then they started talking. So something else that has been beneficial is that they are now opening up. They are now being free. They are now more confident. I want to say yes, play did that with the ones that I've seen because I know that play opened them up in that perspective. So it has been really good to see that happen with them.
Yeah, I know we said we're not going to talk a lot about the brain research and all that, but hidden in your explanation right there about academics, right? We know from trauma that kids have trouble accessing the frontal lobe where reasoning and learning takes place. Play unlocks that. And so engaging in play during learning or before learning or taking a break during learning engages a child's brain in such a way that they can learn more effectively. And you're seeing that with the kids that you're working with, just by introducing play and allowing your tutors to understand this is actually part of the learning process. It helps them unlock the parts of their brain that allow them to learn.
At the time, I was a tutor, and my class was always chaotic or noisy or playful. And other tutors who will be in another class or another group, they're like, hey, what's going on here? But as time went on, we started seeing the results. So it became a strategy that other tutors started using,
Mm.
you know, because it worked. Because it worked. I explained to someone sometime that for a traumatized child whose this part of the brain is not just so well, and this part is maybe not so well, I said the wire to put them both together is play. Just play, and they just get drawn together, and everything is sort of fixed.
Yeah, 100%. So one of the challenges in introducing play, not only in an education setting, but perhaps in the work with you do with kids who come from orphanages, children's homes, other vulnerable children, there are challenges to making sure that play is introduced. What are some of the other challenges besides convincing people that it's important? What are just some of the challenges? Is time a challenge, like we don't have enough time, or culturally a challenge that it's just not part of what we do? What kind of challenges have you faced in introducing play?
Majorly, the challenge is culture. Was and even still is culture. The idea that playfulness is a strategy you could use to have kids from a certain way to become a certain way, or have them understand what you want to do through play. Before, or rather then, it was like, you're wasting your time. What are you doing? This is not our culture. You're wasting your time. I don't know how you're just being too playful. You're wasting your time. What are you doing?
Yeah.
So it felt like they didn't understand. But the kids also, another challenge. It's funny. Another challenge. The kids also would just only want to play. So they don't get any structure. They just want to play, and it's just ending there. Let's just play. Let's just play. Let's just play. And so the challenge, like I said, even still till now, is culture. It's culture, and not so many here would understand that that is a strategy you could use in developing a child.
Yeah, and I think that's a similar culture issue here in the States, and maybe universally, right? Adults don't see the benefit of play. They think it's a waste of time, perhaps, or let's move on.
Right.
Children they want to play all the time. And so being able to put those two things together effectively, especially with kids who come with the trauma background, is a really hard thing, right? Transitioning from one thing to another, making those things fit together. Those are real challenges, and it sounds like the same challenges for you in Nigeria with the kids that you work with as in the States or other places around the world.
Right. Yes, it is.
So how did you overcome that challenge, right? Other than just perseverance, other than just, we are going to keep doing this, I'm going to convincing people. How did you personally go from that feeling like what it was you were supposed to do to now seeing the benefit? How did you overcome the challenge?
It was mostly that, just staying the course, because I was seeing the results. But one other thing that I did was bringing other people in. Like I said before, my tutoring class was always noisy. Then I would tell them, hey, this strategy works. This is the language. If you really want to get something, use this or try this. I've tried it, it works. I have so many results. I'm enjoying so many benefits. It works. So what I added to it was bringing people in. Some I had to drag in, and eventually saw the usefulness of it and saw the results of it. But I kept going. I kept persevering because I was seeing the results. I was enjoying the connection. I was enjoying the results that was coming out of it. I just kept going. I just kept persevering.
Yeah, love that. Hey, we've only got a couple of minutes left, and I can't believe how much you covered in such a short period of time. We talked a little bit about how the brain works. We talked about building trust and connection, overcoming cultural challenges, that play is the voice of a child. So many things, just in a few minutes. If I were to say, hey, Azu, tell somebody who is trying this for the first time, right? They're finally seeing, hey, I need to incorporate play and playfulness intentionally with the kids that I work with. What is the first piece of advice that you would give them to kind of overcome that first barrier? Like, hey, just try this one or two things and get started. What would you tell them to do?
I would tell them to, first of all, think like a child. So you wanna get through to this child. You wanna have something different, or you wanna change something. You have to think like a child. So how would a child think? How do they get some things done? Even with my own daughter now, uh, with this lockdown, I have to be tutoring at home. She only wants to play. She wants to play while doing her homework. So knowing a child's mind is just full of play. The only thing you want to think of is how to get that thing done is through play. You just have to get them through play. So it's a strategy that you have to know. To me, it's a must. To me, it's impossible to get there or to achieve what you want to do without playing with a child. To me, it may be funny because it's natural for me, or I've seen the results, I've seen the benefits. It's just impossible for you to get that you really want from a child without playing or without using the strategy of play.
Yeah. Oh, so good. Just again, I love that first piece of advice, especially get in the mind of a child, not only what you think that they should be doing, but understanding developmentally their personality.
Right.
What is it that will unlock that for them? And then also just overcoming our own biases against it, right? That it just doesn't work. Seeing the results. If you do this, you will see the results. So I love that encouragement, both of those things. Azu, I think I could keep talking to you forever. I hope that we can do this again. So much wisdom, and I just love the conversation. Can we come back and do this again sometime?
Sure, absolutely, anytime.
All right. Azu, thanks so much, and we'll do this again. And blessings to you there in Nigeria, and we'll talk again soon.
Sure, it was cool doing this.
All right. Awesome.